guitar feels crazy today. I said the guitar feels crazy today.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Shabbat Shalom.
I invite you to leave behind the conversation that you're having with the person sitting next to you, so we can engage in a dialogue that includes all of us. We sing in community and we welcome Shabbat in community. Maybe the biggest challenge of Shabbat is to turn our awareness in that way. To decide that we want to be mindful of where we are focusing our energies and our thoughts, and to turn away for 25 hours from the casual conversation, for the one that doesn't pay much attention to the rest of the environment, and to be deeply aware, deeply mindful of the environment that we want to create. There might be some noise coming from children. That noise, it's okay. The one that comes from adults, that one is very disturbing. So be mindful of that. And we also invite the children to be mindful of the environment that we are trying to create together, this Beit Keilah, this Beit Filah, this house of prayer, this house of community. So there are sounds to different times of the year, and next week we are going to be already celebrating the holiday of Hanukkah. There is a space in this row. It's not reserved for anyone but those that are looking where to sit. So there are sounds for different times of the year, and even though it's not Hanukkah yet, this is one of the sounds of this time of the year for us. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 ai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. It's the welcome Shabbat in community. I think we should say that. Ine matov u'manayim
Sheberachim gam yachad. Ine matov u'manayim sheberachim gam yachad.
How good it is, how sweet it is,
How sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hinei matov u'manayim sheberachim gam yachad. Hinei matov
u'manayim sheberachim gam yachad. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is
how sweet it is.
to be together on this day. Hinei matov u'manayim sheberachim gam yachad.
begin this Shabbat of Parashat Va'ishlach, opening our Sidurim on page 124 at Lakat Neirot for lighting Shabbat candles. And we would like to invite Shirley, Rob, Adriel, and Daniel to guide us, to lead us in the lighting of Shabbat candle. And anyone in the family that you want to invite to join you, as Adriel will be coming up to the Torah tomorrow morning. You can actually use the shamash.
Use that. No, just pick that, yeah.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu
במצוותיו וציוונו
להדליק נר
להדליק נר של
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, and congratulations. We'll now turn our Sidurim to page 130 as we welcome Shabbat. We walk toward welcoming Shabbat with joy. Lechu neranena.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nahariya litzur yishenu
Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nahariya letzur yishenu Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nahariya letzur yishenu Page 131 Shiru shiru l'Adonai Shiru shir hadash Shiru shiru l'Adonai Shiru shir hadash Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la Ya la 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 On page 132, Adonai melachta gel haaretz yismechu im rahavim. ולשרו על הצדיק ולשרי לב שמחה, שמחו צדיקים באדוני בודו לשכר קודשו. Light is song for the righteous, for the seekers of a path of righteousness. There is a foundation, there is a source of joy, of simcha. מזמור שיר לאדוני, Shir Hadash on page 133. כי נפלאות עשה. Shabbat is an invitation to recognize the niflaot, the wonders that we experience in our daily lives. and sometimes neglect to acknowledge. Shabbat is the opportunity to stop the world, or to actually become part of the creation of the world by acknowledging the wonders in our world, the wonders in our lives, the creations that we bring about in this world. We will now turn our Siddurim to page 134 for Psalm 95, Samru Adonai. Page 136, Psalm 29, Mizmor LeDavid.
Page 137. Adonaios le'avohitem Adonai yevarech et amo bashalom.
הייתם, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, אדוני עושה לבוא הייתם, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. We now turn our Sidurim to page 138. It is this beautiful idea to think of Shabbat as the majestic presence of a bride, of someone beautiful that changes all the energy in the room when she comes, when it comes, when they come. How many things in our lives have the power to change our energy, to make us shift? Shabbat happens every week and invites us to have that experience of shifting our energy. When we say, Lecha dodi likrat kala, come, beloved, to greet, to welcome the bride, to welcome Shabbat. We are reminding ourselves to open our hands, our arms, and our hearts to welcome Shabbat, to allow the power, the majestic presence of Shabbat change our hearts. We'll sing the first, the second, the fifth, the sixth, and the 9 verses of Lecha dodi on pages 138 and 139. Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekavela Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekavela Shamor besachor bedivrur echad ישמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת בלי תהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. היי, 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 יאללה, היי, 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 יאללה, לה, 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 היי, 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 עלייך בגלל היי די די לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה
לא תבושי ולא תקמי מה תשתוכחי ומה תחמי אך יחסו ענני ונזמתה
התחלתי להי לי לי לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת וכלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת וכלה
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהולם, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת וכלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת וכלה.
We have welcome Shabbat, and I think it's time to do an exercise. Let's check the la 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 la. Let's say it goes like this. Ay, dai, 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 dai.
Ay, dai, 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 dai.
Ya da, dai, 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 da, dai. Ya da, dai, 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 da, dai. Ya da, 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 da. That sounds very right. Ne Shabbat nekavla.
פני שבת נקבלה.
Ay, dai, 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 dai.
Ay, dai, 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 dai.
Ya da, dai, 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 da, dai.
Yada la 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 la.
Ya da, la, 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 la.
Yada la 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 la.
Ne Shabbat nekavla.
זה שבת נקבלה.
Ay, dai, 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 dai.
ידה לה 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 לה.
We're going to keep repeating. Ya, dai, 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 dai.
לה 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 לה.
Ya da, dai, 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 la, la.
ידה לה 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 לה.
Ya da, la, 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 la. Ne Shabbat nekavla.
שבת נקבלה.
Wonderful. Now we have welcome Shabbat together. We can take a moment to welcome each other while you're standing. We invite you to go around. We're going to take 2 minutes. And at some point, you will start hearing us saying, get back to Shabbat. So take a moment to say Shabbat Shalom. If you see a face that you haven't seen, praise God and acknowledge.
Shabbat shalom.
Hoy kala, pele Shabbat nekavela. Hoy kala, hoy kala, hoy kala. Hoy kala, pele Shabbat nekavela. Hoy kala, hoy kala. Lecha dodi לקראת כלה. פele Shabbat nekavela. Are you coming next week? Sorry? Are you coming next week? Are you sure? Perfect. Bohi kala, pele Shabbat nekavela. Bohi kala, pele Shabbat nekavela. Bohi kala. Lecha dodi לקראת כלה. פele Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi לקראת כלה. פele Shabbat nekavela. פele Shabbat nekavela. Where's Adriel? We will now turn our Sidurim to page 140.
ליום השבת.
We now turn our Sidurim. We actually, for those that are not familiar, when we still hear voices, friends, it's not how we do this. And also, if you recognize that your children are unaware, it's a great opportunity to teach them how to be in the shul. It's great. If you recognize that your child is speaking nonstop, that's not the idea of the games. The idea of the games is for the kids to be able to occupy their hands in something while we are standing together. And so, perfect. So let's make the decision that we want to create this space together. It doesn't hold itself by itself. We need to be intentional about our being here. We'll now turn our Sidurim to page 144 for Chetzi Kaddish. Edil, you will lead us. So I'm going to give you an hour, kid.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rava.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach yuteh ve'amlich malchuteh.
B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'vchayetecho Beit Yisrael.
To please rise and to turn your Sidurim to page 146 for Baruch as we turn towards Jerusalem. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מרהיב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. ומעביר יום ומהביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, אמרי ורבים. בת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. Everlasting love you offer to your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot. As we get closer to the Shema, our tradition invites us to think about the source, a source of everlasting love. I invite you to take a moment to close your eyes. And as love is symbolized in our tradition through Torah and mitzvot, through the study of Torah and engaging our lives in the fulfillment of mitzvot, love also has many, many other symbols. I invite you to think about what love, everlasting love, looks like to you, feels like to you in your life. To picture it. And to let the image, the presence of that love surround you and embrace you in the form of light. A light that you can wear as a prayer shawl that embraces you. And as you are wearing this prayer shawl, this talit, become aware of your breath. And every time you exhale, I invite you to reach for energies that you might be carrying that don't belong to you. We let them go. And every time we inhale, we breathe in. We'll bring the light of that love until it gradually fills our system, our existence. And we become one with that love. I invite you to take a deep breath. And become one. ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Dear God, please never remove your love from us. We'll now turn our theory into page 152 for the Shema. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על
mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Emet Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 156. באמת אמונה כל צודק היה עלינו, כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו בן זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו. We'll continue with the silent reading over page 156. מיד מלאכים על קרבנו, בכף הרוצים. On page 158. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אליהם. The children witness your sovereignty, the splitting before Moshe and Miriam. This is our God, they cry. In times of struggle, we try to find the ability to make the first step forward. In times in which we feel reduced, we try to connect with the greatness of our story, of our narrative, so we can expand our hearts and find perspective. And from that place is that we sing. That's why the children of Israel sang as they were crossing the Sea of Reeds, trying to open their hearts, trying to expand their hearts. Yadalai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 yadalai, dai, 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 yadalai, dai, 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 yadalai, dai, dai. Let's try it again. Yai, dai, 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 yadalai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, dai. offering to clap. Let's see if we can follow the rhythm. I lie, 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 I lie, 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 I lie, 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 I lie, lie, I lie, lie, I lie, 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 I lie, lie, I lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, 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 lie. Does it say Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own, or something that seems to be stronger than Jacob? Praise are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Page 160.
Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmod zetenu, uhoenu, lechayim ushalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmor zetenu, uhoenu, lechayim ushalom, me'ata ve'ad olam.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים, particularly in these days, we ask for God to open its shelter of peace over the entire people of Israel, wherever we are, wherever they are, and over the city of Jerusalem. Amen. Shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat. It is a covenant to keep among generations Shabbat, and to allow Shabbat to keep us, to protect us, to help us protect our sense of community, our mental sanity, to help us recognize sacred spaces in our lives. And with that sentiment is that we turn our Siddurim to page 164 for Tfilat Amidah. We'll invite you to please rise and to turn toward Jerusalem, our eternal capital. Adonai, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. We'll continue in silence. תגיבו למעלה. השם, קדוש, וזה ככה דרך, מודים על ההחלטה שלנו. אלוהי נצור לשולי מרח, שפתי מרמה. Maybe see the conclude Amidah on page 160, 80. I invite you to read with me the last verse of Tfilat Amidah. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. כן יהי רצון. We'll now turn our series to page 371 as we dedicate one more prayer in our Tfilat Amidah, in our personal prayer for those dealing with illness. Those dealing with illness in their bodies, in their souls. We need to change that tone next time. In their bodies, in their souls. We think of those dealing with addictions. And so we think of those carrying grief. If you have a name that you'd like to share in this Erev Shabbat, we invite you to do so as we go around our Beit HaKnesset. Just bring the names. Don't.
Alfreda Massman, Gail Frankel, Scott Van Gundy, Daphne Talmore, Dave Stahl, Greg Herb, Margaret McGuan, Carol Rosenberg, Diane Siegel, Lorene Jacobs, Batya Peters, Scott Alberts, Rich Zabridger, Sandra Goldberger, Elise Musin, Kevin Pringle, Ulrich Dennis, Adam Murad, Ruth Murad, Judy Sutton, Nadia Fachanova, Bob Schill, Ellen Kashik, David Tuttleman, Carl Burns, Richard Ravitch, Bernice Paris, Larry Johnson.
On page 371 for Misha Berach.
May the source of
them, to all of you, to all of us, רפואה שלמה והחלמה מהירה, a complete recovery and well-being. This doesn't go right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for shifting with me. Good Shabbos, everybody. So, have you heard bad news lately? I didn't mean that as a joke, but okay, sure. And then the second question would be, what do you do when you hear bad news? I want to say something to our friends. Now that we are doing speech, I cannot be competing with your voices. You need to be really quiet. Like the games should be games, but like, and this is how we are going to model that. Like, very quietly speak about no more than that. I'm better just to play with your toys. That's great. And those, don't use those. Anyway, next week, not gonna be here. Hopefully the kids then, but we bring a different toy, a more quiet one. We're learning. I do want to say one word about this before we go ahead. Like, I know, so if you are going to tell me at the end of the service the kids were making noise, I notice. So, and what we are trying to do, we are trying to learn how to make it work. And it will take us some time. In the meantime, trying to be patient. It's great that they are here. And when the toy becomes very noisy, so we ask to switch the toy. And we learn. So next week, probably we're going to have a more quiet toy. And we'll figure this out. But in the meantime, you know, bear with us, stay with us. This is part of the work that we need to do as community in order to make sure that there's space for everyone in the Beit HaKnesset. Now, we were talking about bad news. Anyway, so the question is, what do you do when you hear bad news? What? You groan, or you get upset. Some people call the rabbi, say, Rabbi, I heard bad news. Say, me too. And so we hear bad news together, and we interchange our disappointment over the news in a variety of places. But there's something that happens in this Torah portion. It's quite fantastic, and it's that our father Jacob is going to hear bad news. And we can get a glimpse, we can get an idea, a taste of how Jacob is going to deal with bad news. What seems to be really, really bad news. Do you remember his brother Esau? Or Esav in Hebrew? I feel more comfortable saying Esav. So we're gonna keep calling him Esav. Now, you remember him? He hasn't seen him for 20 years. And now he's on his way, he's escaping from the hell. Once again, Jacob running away. That's a pattern in his life. He's running away, he's moving to a different location, he's going back home. And all of a sudden, he hears really bad news. Esav is on his way to you. It's your sibling, right? You could be very happy about it. And then the follow-up statement is with 400 men. Doesn't sound so good. And so the question is, what do you do when you hear those bad news? And what Jacob does, what's the name of this Torah portion? Vayishlach. And he sends something. What does he send? He sends angels to take a look and see what's going on. And there is a discussion in our tradition, and Rashi says, the medieval commentator, he sends actually his angels, trying to somehow explain, represent that he sends the best that he has in order to represent him. Now, there's a different idea that comes actually from from the Dober Rebbe from Metzerich, that he says that he doesn't send his actual angels, but the actuality of his angels. Meaning that he sends a projection of his best. And his explanation is that you wouldn't detach, separate from your best resource in a time of concern. So I want to go through the set of actions that Jacob is going to take, 5, and try to translate that into principles. The first one is you stick to your angels and you send the actuality of your angels, meaning you project and you share the projection of your best self, but you keep yourself grounded to your best attributes. The second one is that the Torah says that Jacob was greatly afraid and he was distressed. Afraid and distressed. Jacob, says Rashi, the medieval commentator once again, was greatly frightened in his anxiety. He divided the people with him, all his children and people, into camps. Because he was afraid that he might be killed, will say the Midrash, and distress that he might kill. He was afraid that he might be killed, and he was distressed because of what he could do. And here's the second idea. In times of struggle, when you hear really, really bad news, really challenging news, try to recognize your emotions and try to be specific about what you are feeling. Try to be very tangible in the description of what is taking your emotions. Number 3, we'll try to make sense with all of them together in a minute. If Esau comes to the one camp and destroys it, then the camp which is left shall escape. And the Talmud, and then once again Rashi, will explain that Jacob is preparing his strategy at 3 levels. The first one, and Adriel will speak about that tomorrow, he's sending gifts. He's sending an offering of peace. Hopefully this pleases you, and finita la comedia. That's the end of the deal. The second one, he prays. He tries to align his emotion, his feelings, his spirit to the outcome that he would like to experience. And the third one, he prepares himself for war. Obviously not his prepared or his favorite option, but sometimes, in certain circumstances, war is in the table. Now, what's the meaning of this third one? Strategize with your assets. So the first one is project your best self, ground yourself to your core. The second one was what? Acknowledge your feelings. Be brave if that's what you're feeling, but acknowledge your emotions and be specific about what you are feeling so you might be able to communicate with the rest of the world. And the third one is try to recognize your assets. Try to recognize what you can bring to the table. If you can offer first peace and gifts, go for that. If you need to realign yourself before you go out to do something that is terrible, then pray, do that. And if there is no option, so you can use also the asset of war, of your strength. Now, the fourth one, which is a very, very famous verse in the Torah. All of a sudden, he's alone. He's separated from his camps, and he goes back to Jordan. Remember that from the river, that river that you hear in the news, that one. So he goes back to Jordan and says, קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך, כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, ג'ורדן, ועתה הייתי לשני מחנות. I am humbled, I am of little merit, קטונתי, קטן, is little. Of all the kindness that you have graciously given me, your servant, with my staff alone, I crossed this Jordan, I went back, and now I have become 2 camps. And the statement that follows that is, Atzileni na, please save me. Now he prays. But the most interesting thing is not the prayer. The most interesting thing is what happens before that. Before that, he says, what's the first word? Say it, katonti. Can you say that? It's a tough one. Katonti comes from the word katan, little. Gadol, big. Katan, small. I am humble by all the kindness and the truth that you have shown me. And then he goes into a big deal of gratitude. And he says, I have 2 camps now. I have like so much. I was able to even divide them, and I'm praying for them to be okay. But there's a recognition of what he owns. And from that place of gratitude is that actually the word katonti emerges. He's first grateful, and then the first word that comes out of his mouth is humility, katonti. And so the fourth idea is, when we are feeling distress, when we are dealing with really bad news, when we feel that what is going to drive our actions are emotions that we don't even know how to name, it's great to take a moment to step back, to cross back the Jordan, and to think a little bit about our blessings, and to see if we can exercise gratitude. And here's how the magic thing happens. And it's that from that place of katonti, of humility, of feeling small in the face of the greatness that he has received, is that he actually becomes great. Like the big change in Jacob's life happens a minute later, in which he transitions from being Jacob to becoming Israel. It's the next scene. And as a matter of fact, this will happen as a follow-up in a fight that he has with an angel. And when the angel is about to leave, Jacob said, "What's your name?" Sorry, the angel said, "What's your name?" And he replies, "Jacob." What's the meaning of the word Jacob? Yaakov? What? Yeah, that's the second one. But Jacob is, Yaakov comes from the word akev, heel. That's the story with his brother, right? Yaakov, he's, on the other hand, if you explore the word a little bit, it means that he's haunted, that he's being chastened. That's how he lives his life. That's why he's escaping from place to place. That's why he's so unsettled. And he will become, after facing this angel and after going through all these steps, he will become Israel, Now, what's the meaning of the word Israel? We often say the one who wrestles with God. And there is wrestling. And there is facing reality. And as a matter of fact, he will call that place Pniel, the face of God. The place will be called Pniel. But what the pasuk says, what the verse says, "Vayomer lo Yaakov, Yomer od shemcha, ki im Israel, ki sarita im Elohim, ve'im anashim betuchal." Said he, the angel, "Your name shall no longer be Yaakov, the one who is hunted, the one who is chastened, but Israel. Sarita, you have striven with divine beings and with humans, and you have prevailed." What's the human that Jacob has prevailed? Who is that human? It's himself. Jacob, the moment of truth, the moment of connection is that moment in which Jacob has the backbone to connect with himself. And in that moment of connection, he's not hunted anymore. And that's why it's a transformative moment. In that moment, he becomes the father of our nation, the name of our nation. A name that puts us in a place in which we can face the world even when it's really difficult. Not from a place in which we feel hunted and chastened, even when that sometimes is real, but actually from the place in which we are Israel, those that can face the reality of who they are and can connect with fellow human beings and with elevated ideas. So once again, in times in which we hear bad news, difficult news, in times of struggles, we connect to our core and we project the best of our core, not the worst of ourselves, the best of ourselves. That's what we need to strive to project. We try to recognize our emotions. We name them. What else? I forgot myself, but I have a note. We try to recognize our emotions. We name them. We recognize our assets. We strategize with our assets. We count our blessings. We exercise gratitude. And hopefully we feel humble by our blessings. And from that place of humility, there is a chance for us to transition from a place of victimhood, from a place of struggle, from a place in which we are hunted and chastened, to a place in which we are actually proud of who we are, and a place of victory. The first victory that we need to achieve is the one of wrestling with ourselves. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service on page 586 with Aleinu Leshavech. And now we're going to invite all our friends that are sitting in that carpet to join us as we're going to open the ark. Friends, you, those that are very silent, I'm so grateful. Can you come with me and open the ark? If you're under the age of bar mitzvah, or if you did your b'nai mitzvah in the last year, we will invite you to open the ark. Come. We're going to open the ark and then someone else will close. Go, yeah. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא זכנו לאחד את שמו בגורלנו, להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. We'll continue on page 590. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם בהר, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Gently. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you very, very much.
Sorry.
If you are in the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, we please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you have a yortzeit this week, an anniversary of someone's passing, please rise and share with us who you are remembering.
My beloved brother, Ron Leiter.
Can you say his name again?
We remember those who died within this last year: Diane Kalmus, Gary Bronstein, Michael Musin, Ilya Rabinovich, Bonnie Epstein, Mahin Bahon Sinai, Mark Allen Grubbs, Connie Shine, Rosemary McGuan, Stanley Rich, Sandy Baim, Jerry Levy, Rosalie Berkowitz, Adrian Friedman, Tripp Richardson, Eleanor Hill, Daniel Knipe, Sandra Koff, Yenorosto Benito, Marcel Cunningham, Madeline Salzman, Kevin Scott, Robert Kilgore, Dahlia Schneider, Michael Pleiner, Joyce Levine, Shirley Israel, Thelma Turner, Marilyn Graben, Alan Feigen, Jonah Anschel, Sharon Lowenbrown, Sheila Bamberger, Dr. Grace Deutsch, Clarissa Glotzer, Stephen Bornstein, Richard Kennemer, Ethel Shanker, Vardit Satchi, Rabbi Tlalit Shavit, Jack Long, Virginia Larson, Miriam Moore, Bob Sturman, Lenora Wang, Adam Richard Spilka, and those who died at this season in years past: Daniel Preville, Esther Bale, Jenneth Knox, Joseph Karlinski, Judith Lee Reiser, Max Lagarde, Melvin Rosenberg, Ron Leiter. And now you can support our community by standing or sitting, joining us with your voices or your hearts for Kaddish Avilim, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועל מה דברה חילותיהם, וימליך מלכותיהם, וחייכון וביומכון, וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה, מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה. יתברך, ישתבח, ויתפאר, ויתרומם, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמידם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing in your life. Yesichram Baruch. You may be seated.
It's our pleasure to invite up Julie Ogawa for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
I just have a few announcements. And you will also be able to see the upcoming events on the back of your handout and, of course, on our website calendar. On Saturday, tomorrow, December 2nd at 9 o'clock, we have Shabbat Cafe in the foyer. Please come. You don't need to register at this point. Just show up. 9:30, we have Torah study, followed by 10:30, Bar Mitzvah of Adriel Bernard. On Sunday, December 3rd at 9 o'clock, there will be a pop-up Hanukkah gift shop. So do your shopping then. Friday, December 8th at 5 p.m., Hanukkah family fun, especially for families with little ones aged 2 years to 3rd grade. At 6 p.m., Hanukkah Shabbat service and a special Hanukkah dinner around 7:30. Please register online so we can order enough food. At 9 o'clock, there will be a tish with visiting Rabbi Galit Cohen Kedem. If you don't know what a tish is, please show up.
Or if you don't know who Rabbi Galit Cohen Kedem is,
You need to come.
please show up. So I'll say a word about Galit. She's a friend of mine. She's a rock star. Galit is a fantastic rabbi. When we talk about Israeli startups, Galit opened a congregation that is certainly a startup. And the quantity of growth and that congregation experienced over the last 15 years, I can say that I think the first year that they did Yom Kippur, she needed someone the last, maybe 16 years ago, I don't know how many years ago, like many years ago, 2 months before Yom Kippur, there was a problem with the person who was supposed to lead services with her, and I show up to lead services with her. Since we have been very friendly, very good friends, we started together. But from that little room in Hulon where we led services, Galit has today an incredible enterprise of Jewish life in the city of Hulon, in a place that is not a given by any means. And she has developed also a school, and you will hear all about that. She has been in the news in Israel several times because she has sued the city of Hulon per the request of the mayor. So very interesting stories that you will hear from her. Very interesting person, and she's also really funny. So I encourage you to join us.
If you can't make it on Friday to see her, come on Saturday, because she will be here for as our guest speaker for our Lunch and Learn. And please register, and that way we can have enough food. And please be here to welcome her, and we'll all get to know her as well. I have a short haiku to share with you. Don't worry, it's short because it's haiku. The earth keeps tilting. This Shabbat started early. Our rest has begun.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's our pleasure to invite up Rob to come and say Kiddush.
You can follow Kiddush on page 122.
The rabbi's going to start first with Vayechulu.
וירא בבוקר יום השישי. ויחול השמיים בארץ בכל צבעם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי, אלוהי ישראל לחיים.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם בריא פרי הגופן.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו, באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים בשם
בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Lift up your cup now, like this. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Chaim.
Right on time. Thank you very much. We'll make sure you can go with the family. We are going to take this time to share blessings with each other. We are going also to turn our series into page 625. We will conclude our service with Adon Olam, and while we are doing that, we invite you to go and stand next to your family. As the end of Adon Olam, we will also share blessings with each other. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nira le'nasa v'chesod asay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado imloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu yeh v'tifara Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa v'chesod asay melech shemo nikra ve'hu echad ve'en sheni le'an shilo le'achvira ve'li ve'shin ve'li tachvin ve'lo ha'oz ve'amitzvah ve'hu eli ve'chai v'ali ve'tzorchem li ve'etzara ve'hu nitzi u'manosi ve'natosi ve'yom echad בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת תשאל והעירה בהים רוחי ותהילתי אדוני לי ולא יירא. May God inspire you to be like the parents, like the loving parents of the house of Israel. לשמכם אלוהים כפרעים וכמנשה כשרה רבקה רחל בלאה. And we say to all of you, to all of them, to all those that we are building loving relationships with them in this world, we say, Yevrechem Adonai ve'ishmerechem, may God bless you and protect you. Yevrechem bichunechem, may God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elechem, may you find within you God's presence always, and may God gives you the strength to deal with bad news that sometimes come in our lives. Gives you the wisdom to act upon the things that are challenging you in the world, and the wisdom to grow, to become, to be a winner in the world. Israel, those that are connected with people and with God, and to bring love that this world so desperately needs. May God gives you its most important gift, the gift of shalom. Ve'asem lachem, ve'asem lekulanu, to all of us. Shalom. Adonai os le'amav iten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. May God bless all its peoples with the blessing of peace, and may God bless us with the strength, the power to bring about that peace. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, mevorach everybody. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa v'chesod asay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levato imloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu omer ve'hu yeh v'tifara. Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Those of you who are in the B'nai Mitzvah class of 2024, please, after we do motzi, please grab food, and then we'll convene in the Oneg room.